Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, May 16th. My name is Alan. I want to welcome you to my Spiritual Growth Through Recovery podcast. The purpose of these videos is to grow my spirituality by following the AA program of recovery, and I do the best I can by being honest, vulnerable, and accountable, which is why I make the videos, all right? I'm no expert in AA or recovery or spirituality. I'm just trying to live life on life's terms and try to do it sober. All right, so the recipe we follow here is we read the daily reading out of the AA Daily Reflections book. There's a link in the description if you'd like to follow along. And I'll share my take on what I got from the reading, as well as some other topics that spin around my brain. All right, so today the topic's going to be We Forgive, and then I'll be followed up with a broader idea of forgiveness, part one. So today will be part one. Tomorrow will be part two on the idea of forgiveness. Okay? All right. May 16th. We forgive. Often it was while working on this step with our sponsors or spiritual advisors that we first felt truly able to forgive others, no matter how deeply we felt they had wronged us. Our moral inventory had persuaded us that all-around forgiveness was desirable, but it was only when we resolutely tackled step 5 that we inwardly knew we'd be able to receive forgiveness and give it too. 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 58. What a great feeling forgiveness is. What a revelation about my emotional, psychological, and spiritual nature. All it takes is willingness to forgive. God will do the rest. So today and tomorrow are going to be both in the daily reflections. We're on forgiveness. So, all right. So what I got from this was the idea that we couldn't do it by ourselves. It talks about working with a sponsor, a spiritual advisor, to help us, work through these things, work the steps, and then become aware of wanting to forgive others, and then open that door to be forgiven ourselves. It talks about our moral inventory had persuaded us that all-around forgiveness was desirable. And what I took from that was it's no longer something that needs to happen. I really need to. It has to happen so I can stay sober. It's something I really want. I want this to happen. And so instead of kind of dragging my feet and kicking and screaming on it, something I really desired. This whole idea of forgiveness. So, and then at the end it talks about all it takes is willingness to forgive, and then God will do the rest. So our job is to become willing, and then surrender it to God, and then He takes it from there. So that's kind of what I got from the reading. And then I got a lot of stuff on forgiveness over the next 2 days. So start part one today. And so, what's forgiveness, right? What is it? It's a stopping a feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense, flaw, or mistake. An intentional decision to let go of resentment and anger. Right? We are upset that something has happened to us, real or imaginary. So it's kind of similar to what we were talking about yesterday, where it's the whole perception of something, emotional pain, or anyway, something happens, we perceive it as we get hurt. Right? And so forgiveness is saying, you know what, we're good. I'm no longer going to hold that against you. So there's a lot of references in the big book about forgiveness, and I want to go through those here in part one, and then dig into a little bit a different topic for part two. So what does AA literature say about forgiveness? So not a whole lot in the big book compared to the 12 by 12, but in step 5 in the 12 by 12, it talks about often it was while working on this step with our sponsors. That's exactly what we just read, where it talks about that we felt truly able to forgive others, no matter how deeply we felt they had wronged us. And that's by doing that step 5 work. Now in step 8, it talks about if we are now about to ask forgiveness for ourselves, why shouldn't we start out by forgiving them, one and all? And this really talks about what we make amends in step 9. We're about ready to, ask for forgiveness. So why not start by forgiving them first? Give them the grace, and then hopefully that'll happen to us. It's a whole idea of giving first and receiving later. And we can talk about that in step 11. Now, let's see here. So, hold on a second. There it is. I missed it. I think I lost the page. All right, anyway. All right, so and then the next one here is on step 10, where it talks about, in all these situations, we need self-restraint, honest analysis of what is involved, a willingness to admit where the fault is ours, and an equal willingness to forgive when the fault is elsewhere. So here's is we're taking kind of like a spot check inventory as we go through the day, our days. We notice when we get triggered or something happens to us, and then we want to hold back on our tongue and analyze what's going on, figure out where the fault is ours, and then forgive when the fault is not ours. And that's kind of, if we do that on a regular basis, then we never have those big step 4s and step 8s and that kind of thing that we have to go through. So, and then it talks about, okay, there it is, yeah, step 11. I knew that was somewhere in there. Step 11, it kind of brings up the St. Francis prayer. I'm not sure if you've not heard of that one. I suggest reading it. It talks about Lord, make me a channel of thy peace. Where there's hatred, may I bring love. Where there's wrong, may I bring the spirit of forgiveness. And so the idea here is, it is by forgiving that one is forgiven. So why should we expect someone to forgive us if we're not going to forgive them? And the idea is, and it kind of talks about here in step 8, where it's why not start out by forgiving them first. So that's kind of the idea is, it's not about us always. So our job is to forgive and let God do the rest. All right, so anyway, that's all I got for today. Sorry if it was a little clumsy. I'm kind of tired getting through this, but I just want to encourage you to, is there someone that you need to forgive? Maybe yourself, maybe your parents, maybe a friend, a loved one, someone you don't like. But the idea is find a willingness. Maybe you're not quite ready, but say, all right, God, I'm willing to forgive, and then let Him work through you to forgive that person, so you don't have to carry that stuff around with you. You kind of let each other off the hook. So anyway, we hope you have a good day. Be back tomorrow for another one. So until then, peace out.